All right, guys, it's me, Danny, and I am doing a video. I've done actually several videos and I haven't pushed them out yet. And it's been kind of one of those things where do I start? Today we're going to talk about solar. So I used a company, Project Solar, and why I hired Project Solar to install the solar on my house and to buy it from them, it was because they had the best price. The only person that was close on pricing was Tesla, but I heard a lot of horror stories on that, and I decided that it wasn't something I wanted to do for those reasons. Now, I did get Project Solar. There were some planning issues and there was some panel fitting and things like that. But overall, I got it installed and I've had it for a year. It's a long time, right? And I love it. It's a great service on it. But let's talk about Project Solar for a little bit. They don't charge, they don't overcharge for their materials and their labor and everything like that. It's the same equipment with the same warranty as anywhere else that you would get them from, and with the big brands that are in solar, right? So there's a lot of big brands in solar that you think everyone's pushing their thing. I want to say we're still in the early phases of solar, even though it's been around for a while, but it's the adoption is going up higher, right? Is that you got Tesla that's out there that bought out the brothers company, and now they have a full-fledged thing. And then you have, other, SunPower and things like that. But then you have other micro companies out there that are doing door-to-door sales. And I come from sales, if you didn't already know, or if you didn't watch any of my previous videos. And the issue with sales, slimy sales, not me, right, is that there's a lot of people that don't sell on value. They sell on hype, and they sell on emotions, and they sell on quickness. So much like when you go car shopping, they hold you there all day long for you to finally say, okay, fine, this is as good as I'm going to get. And guess what? They got all day long to do it. And then they kind of do this high pressure sale, and it's awful, awful. Well, that's what door-to-door salesmen are. They will sell you something, and here's the big secret. They make a ton of commission, anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe even $20,000 in commission from selling you that one solar system. And it might not be the right size. It might not be in size. That's the one thing. Not panel count, please don't do that. It might not be the right size. It might not be the right program for you. And you're probably overpaying for it because, again, there's incentive for them to close you on that sale. And one of those things that I found interesting is when I was shopping for solar, I had a bunch of people come to my door, and they were hard selling me. And every bad sales technique you could think of, calling me constantly, not a big deal. By all means, you're in sales, call me. But hard selling certain things, leaving these yellow notes that it really drives me nuts, saying, hey, by law you have to change to this green energy thing by this date, and on the verbiage of that yellow note, it is true what it says, but it's deceptive. Either way, it's a terrible technique that I've seen way too often. I've reported it numerous times. So that's number one, why I don't trust, door-to-door sales. Number two is you go into like a home show. We have a lot of great home shows that come in twice, maybe 3 times a year sometimes. And you talk to them and you ask them, how much does solar cost? And they want to make you an appointment. They're not willing to tell you a price per kilowatt. They're not trying to give you an estimate, because they don't want to lowball it, and then you have that thing where you're talking to a customer saying, hey, well, this is how much it's going to cost. Well, you said it was going to be lower. You said it was going to be this much, and now you're arguing back and forth and creating a bad customer experience. So I understand why they don't. However, when you do get them to come to your house, and I had 3 other people other than Project Solar that did come to my house, and Project Solar didn't actually come to my house. They're online based, but we'll jump into that. So here's the thing with it though, is that all those companies were $10, $15, $20,000 more than what Project Solar was offering. But Project Solar was offering a bigger system. So not only were they more expensive, they were more expensive for a less capable system, which is maddening, right? So it's crazy because you have to really dive deep into this. Luckily, I'm a nerd. I'm going to dive deep and I'm going to get all to the nitty gritty and I'm going to talk to people and I'm going to handshake with people. I want to build rapport with people and I'm going to find out everything I can by building the relationship the other way too. Because most salespeople do not expect you to ask a lot of questions. And I wanted to make everyone feel uncomfortable. And this is what I found was, besides big commissions, there's another thing. I'm in real estate. I'm in sales. I told you. More consulting, I guess, when you talk about that. Anyway, that's another subject. Here's the thing, though, is door-to-door will put you on a lease. A lease is not buying it. You're not getting any kind of benefit from going onto a lease as far as federal tax credit. Number 2, power purchase agreements. Don't do it. So a power purchase agreement says, 99% of the time says, you're going to pay this much cents per kilowatt from us. This is the 2 things they don't tell you or aren't very forward with it. How much that goes up every year, if it does, and how big of a system are they putting onto your house before it cannot accommodate the energy use that you have, and then you get charged from your utility provider for the difference. So let's just talk about, maybe it's a really hot day. Fresno, we get up to 110, 115 on some days. Here's the thing with it, is on those days, your solar will be producing a lot of energy if you have clear skies, which is fantastic. However, you're running an AC to keep your house cool, and it's probably going to use more energy than you can produce. So what happens is you're going to need to pull from the grid, right? And when you pull from the grid, who are you going to pay? You're going to pay your utility provider at that rate. And at that rate, chances are, is going to be at peak times, and you're going to have to pay them too. So yes, you're paying, 20 cents per kilowatt. You're like, oh, that's a savings. In California, we're talking California, okay? Other states may not be the same. And you're like, that's a savings. That's great. I'm going to do that. Then next year you find out it goes to 22 cents. And it goes to 25 cents. And you're like, whatever. It's not growing as fast as PG&E did. PG&E, in our sidebar, PG&E went up more than 50% year over year from the beginning of 2023 to right now in 2024, it's April, over 50%. If your gas went up for your car more than 50%, you'd be asking for a recall on the governor, on the president, whoever, right? But no one's batting an eye in California for that. It's weird. Another subject though. You can adjust for that though. So here's the thing is, so you don't know what they're going to do with the power purchase agreement. The other part is, so that's a lease, that's a power purchase agreement. It also makes it more difficult for you to sell your house because the person has to qualify to take that over. And when they qualify for it, that means that's less money they have to buy a house with, because the lender's going to have to take that into consideration, that that's going to be a credit score, a credit bill that they're going to have to be paying for, which reduces a buyer's buying power. And as a seller, that makes you your possible people that would purchase your home less. And you want more people to be able to buy your house, not less. So those are certain things that I ran into. And so we talked about pricing, on how much more expensive it was. We also talked about some other things, but here's where I went with Project Solar. Number one, they were online and they communicated with me. Sometimes there was a little too many people, there were a lot of conversations going on, but they were very clear. And here's the thing is they gave me a price with name brand panels, black on black panels, and they properly explained to me what everything has and what everything does. Okay? And that's one thing I did hear that no other solar salesperson or company like actively told me until I looked it up, or until Project Solar in this particular case, was inverters, microinverters and inverters. So you're like, what the hell is that, right? Like, what is it? What is it? So here's what it is. Each panel on your roof gets to be stringed along into this box on the side of your house before it even goes to your breaker, okay? And you change that power over either individually by each panel, or you do it through one inverter and it takes all of them. When you have one inverter for all your panels, if one panel is getting 50% shade, then the rest of your panels will automatically only send 50% of their energy to your house to use. And I'm oversimplifying it, but just bear with me. Microinverters, every inverter or every panel has an inverter. So if one is completely in the shade, then all of them will still work, except for that one, right? That's the difference between microinverter and inverter, and no one bothered to explain it to me. So when I went back to look at some of those quotes and phone calls and those things that other people were telling me about, it was for inverters, just regular inverters, not microinverters. And that's a huge deal, because if you live in the city like I do, you have neighbors that have trees, you have things and clouds and stuff like that in the sky. And if one gets in the shade because, my chimney is in the way, then I would lose out production on all my panels equally. Oof. No, don't sign me up for that. Never. So those are those things. The other part with Project Solar was they were honest. I actually had the privilege of getting in contact with their CEO and having a good conversation with them. And they were very forthcoming with, at that time, certain gaps that needed to be closed. And they've made changes that are great. Like, I can't complain with what they have going on and the integrity that they have as a company. The thing about solar is that there's a lot of fly-by-night companies out there, like I said, that do shady sales tactics, and Project Solar is not one of those. They don't pay an exorbitant, they don't pay a commission out to their people. Their people are earning living wages. The other thing that they do is they're selling quality product with the same warranties that everyone else is selling. And they have a quality installation team, and they're on top of it, which is fantastic to know. And all those little things add up, because you get some crazy conversations with other people. One of the crazy ones, a door knocker. Don't do it. I had a guy tell me we could get panels installed on your home tomorrow. And that was true. He can do that. But again, one thing or that you should know, and you're watching this video, so now you will, is that getting solar isn't as simple as you place an order, someone comes out and puts panels on your roof, and now you have solar. No. You have to get a permit to put it on your roof, unless it's underneath 7 kilowatts. Then there's some fast tracking on it. And then you have to have it approved to put it on there. Utility company needs to go out and show that it's good to go. And then the city has to go out and make sure that it's verified that it looks good and it's to plan. And then the utility company has to go ahead and turn it on. So these door knockers are using the sly technique of saying we could have panels on there tomorrow. And so what they do is this: they will actually put and install panels from their inventory, which who knows the brand and why they have so many just hanging out, put it on your roof, install it fully, but then they make a plan to submit to the city, and then they go to utility, and then they do all this other stuff. And so your impression when they say that is, tomorrow they're going to install solar, and in 2 days, 2 whole days, I'm going to be running on solar. I'm good. I'm golden. You're not. You're still going to be 4-6 weeks out at the minimum, possibly 3 months out, because all those checks and balances still have to be done. It's a terrible sales tactic, but that's what I'm trying to say though. You're not going to get any of that junk sales tactics with Project Solar. I do have a link in this video. I highly recommend checking them out. Get a quote. It's a link specifically for me to you guys. And so it will say, hey, Danny, you know Danny, put your name and number. And they're going to text you and they're going to have a conversation, but they're not going to harass you to death. So I don't want you guys to feel like I have to do this or not have to do this. I highly encourage everyone to look into solar. I highly encourage everyone to get multiple quotes. In California, actually, there is a page they have you sign as part of any kind of solar sale that says you went ahead and you cross-compared quotes. And most solar salespeople will have you sign it and to say, oh yeah, look into it if you want. But you've signed all the rest of the other paperwork that basically locks you in with them to buy it. So let's take that example of the guy that goes to your door and tells you they could get it installed tomorrow. The reason why that's such an effective sales technique, a terrible one, is that they get it put on your roof, and what are you going to do? You're going to tell them, hey, can you take these off because I didn't know it wasn't going to be turned on. You're going to feel guilty, like, I don't want them to take this off because they're going to have to come back, take all the stuff, and I'm going to have holes in my roof or something like that, which they should do it for free, but everyone, mileage may vary, right? It's just a really problematic thing. The other thing, not on Project Solar, but on solar itself, if you have an EV, I have an EV, the Mustang Mach-E. That's probably why you're on this channel. If not, look at the other videos on my channel. It's so important just to have your own power source on your roof. I mean, I have reduced my gasoline for my car bill. I was paying like $300-400 a month, and that was like before I got my EV. And gas prices are a little bit higher now, so it's probably a little bit more than that. And I replaced that entirely with the purchase price of solar. And then that's not even considering what my utility bills were. So one thing I want you to do, if you're going to click that link and you're going to submit your information to get a quote from Project Solar, I want you to have a couple numbers. If you have an EV or if you're thinking about getting an EV, I want you to go ahead and put down how much you're spending on gasoline every month. Okay, number one. Number two, I want you to average out the last 12 months of your bill, of your utility bill. And then I want you to get those numbers and put them together. And I'm confident, I can't guarantee it because it's not my company, but I'm very confident that you're going to be able to get a solar system for your roof with backup batteries for less than both of those things combined. Probably even less than what you're paying on PG&E if you live in California. But the reason I'm taking that second part of your gasoline cost, you can buy a used Mustang Mach-E, it's the car I'm driving, for around $25,000 to $30,000, depending on where you live. In California, that's a steal, okay? You will probably be able to replace whatever you're paying in gasoline with a payment on that car that has all the bells and whistles, or most of them at least, and cover your energy bill for your house and still be cheaper. And what does that do? You get something nicer, and then you get lower energy costs. Not even lower energy costs. I'm going to say it like this. You're going to get consistency in your bill. Because if you were me, I was getting in the prime months, the prime 3 months of the summer in Fresno, I was getting bills $600, $700, $800 from PG&E. And so I'm going to leave the video with this one last thing for you guys. I don't want to take too much of this time. I want to let you guys think of it like this. It's not a question anymore of who you're going to buy solar from. It's more of a question of, is solar going to be cheaper than the utility company? So I put out a video on my real estate stuff, and I'll put a little thing right here, and 50% year over year. I said it earlier in this video, but I really want you to think about the other headlines that I didn't post in there. PG&E is asking to raise prices again. You know, they're touting all these things they're doing in the state of California to put lines underground and doing all these things for the benefit of everything because they got sued for a bunch of money that they couldn't afford, and they have record-breaking profits, but they're telling us it's not associated to their raising of their prices. Look at, energy costs are going to go up. That's just kind of the way life is right now. Inflation is crazy, and it's catching up to everybody. And PG&E has not pressed the brake on it. And I'm not saying PG&E is bad. I have friends that work there. Great people. Nothing against it. However, think about your own pocketbook. I want you to think about what it is that you're trying to accomplish, especially in life, right? You know, you have a home, you're owning your home. You may not. If you don't, I highly recommend you start looking as soon as you can. Prices may come down a little bit, at least in California, but they're not going. It's not going to be. It's only going to get more expensive. Just look at the trajectory on everything. Everything's just been getting more expensive, and things will continue to appreciate. And if you own a home, at least you're going to gain the appreciation with it. Sidebar, sorry. But here's the thing is, you're looking at your monthly expenditures. How much can you control those costs? You can't control gas prices. So even if you drive the same amount of time every week, you might spend a little bit more or a little bit less on gasoline. You can't control it. Groceries, you're going to have to eat. But the cost of eggs, you can't control it unless you get your own chickens, right? Well, you can control your own utility bill by buying your own chickens. And those chickens are solar panels. And those chickens are, you know, that coop is a backup battery for your place. So those are things I want you guys to see in the bigger picture, because these things are going to get more expensive. Now, Project Solar is by far the cheapest. And I don't want to say cheapest, actually. Project Solar is by far the most fair and the most optimal way to purchase solar, because they are the least expensive. They're not using cheap equipment. They're using the same stuff. It's frustrating when you see other people use like trash and then talk about other sales lines. It's besides the point. That's besides the point. So I went on a long rant right here. The next videos that you're going to see me be doing on this channel are going to be about solar. They're going to be about EVs. They're going to be about your home and how to make them more green. Not green. They're going to be more like automation, right? Like, how can you control your home without having to worry about things? How can you spend a little bit more money now so that you don't have to spend money later? Those types of things. But yeah, if you have any questions on any of this, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Overall, if you are a homeowner, get solar sooner than later. It doesn't feel like it's the right time, but never is going to feel like the right time, especially with everything going on in the market. I can't tell the future, but what I can tell you is that you have an ability to control your bills right now to make them the same cost every month for the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, or however long you're going to own your home. or however long you're going to get that loan for. And it makes sense financially. And if you're all about saving some money, I definitely recommend it. My name is Danny. Leave a comment down below, a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Just, hey, we all have opinions. Go ahead and leave it there, and I'll be more than happy to read them and get back to you guys. Have a good one.